Welcome to the world of Mime Over Matter. Today we're going to be making a claymation stop motion to one of my favorite musicians' favorite albums. This is Keith Caputo, Died Laughing, and the song we're going to be doing is Razzberry Mockery.
Keep it on, just walk on through and don't be scared. Keep it on.
And for this project, we're going to need some clay, a paintbrush to do some poking and sculpting, a Lego stop motion stand, an extra phone since we're going to be filming the phone doing it. We have our backgrounds, and yeah, that should be it. All the rest we need is some creativity and some time. So the song we just heard a snippet of before, that is the one that we're going to be doing our stop motion to. Again, that is Keith Caputo. For anyone not familiar with him, he is the lead singer of Life of Agony, also does some incredible solo work, which is a little softer, whereas Life of Agony is a heavy metal band. But as far as vocalists go, he is probably one of my all-time favorites, and that's why I am very much inspired to do a stop motion to one of his songs. And for the clay character we're going to be making, I'm going to be focusing on the head. So the body is just going to be a form, not going to have arms, not going to have legs. We're going to have one of them moving around, but for the most part, I really want the focus to be on the facial features. So what we're going to be doing, that's where the paintbrush comes in. I've found that the back of a paintbrush, especially one of the thin ones, is probably the best tool I could find for getting some of the fine details on working with clay. So I just poke the holes in there, which become the eye sockets, and then we ball up the darker material. We're going with like a dark gray / black, and we ball them up. We put them into the eye sockets. That's a little bit too much eyeball, so take out a little bit. And you just feel what feels right, what looks right. So there are his eyes, but we want to give him eyebrows to get the expression on there. So we just pinch a little off his behind and we just roll it out and make a nice eyebrow. So with the eyebrows, especially on the facial features, you can make them look sad, excited, angry, happy. So what I found when you're making the clay features, the lips and the eyeballs could really tell the entire story. With this character, we're not going to go with lips or a mouth, so we want it all within the eyes. And it may seem like I'm cutting a lot of corners with no body, no mouth, to make this clay character. And in many ways I am, but also it's going to be an 8-second video. And for stop motion at my 10 frames per second, that's about 80 pictures. So I know what I'm trying to do. If I was going to be making a 1 minute, 3 minute video, yes, I would spend a lot more time and detail to make sure that they could move. You can get a lot of close-ups. But for an 8-second project, this is the amount of detail that I want to go into, and that's just a creative decision because there's a time value aspect of it, and I think I can make the video that I want to without those details. And it's not sacrificing the story, and that's the key thing. I know I can tell the story without those. So I finished up the one character, that is the orange character, that is the sad one. Now we're going to be making a blue one, so from a design aspect, he's going to be very similar. However, he is not going to be the sad character. He's going to be the one that's going to be cheering up or consoling our orange sad character. So for the starting, we'll do the same thing. Poke his eyes, give him some eyeballs. But since our entire expression feature is going to be the eyebrows, his are going to be a little bit softer and not as sad. So as we pull those pieces off his behind and put those on, you'll see that it's a very small, minute detail, just not even a millimeter off, but in my opinion, it makes all the difference. And that is the extent of the blue, the black, and the orange clay. We also got 2 other colors. We've got some green back there, and we've got some pink, and those are going to be for flowers. So there's a type of flower that I really like to make when doing clay and working with stop motions. And it's actually a flower design that I learned from baking, working with fondant, making like the top of a cake, which I just found to be so universally applied to clay that I can now make them very quickly. I think the time I made them for a cake, I did make like 30 of them. So now it's become second nature. So I can really, really tear through them. So, and I will share that with you. Actually, I think I've used these in some of my other stop motion. So have you ever seen some of the how-tos or any of the behind the scenes on some of my other claymation music videos? I think these flowers have actually made an appearance a few times. So you might be familiar with them. So the first thing to do is you pull off a stem from the green, and you just roll it into a nice long cylinder. Make it as thick as you want the stem to be. In this case, it needs to be sturdy because it is going to be standing up straight. So you can't make it too thin. And then just pinch off the petals. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Nature is not perfect. It doesn't have to be round. It just has to be thin. And I will show you why, because we're going to be rolling it. So just pinch it off as much as can fit between your two fingers. That is the exact amount. And you just pinch it nice and thin. Again, doesn't have to be perfectly flat. Doesn't have to be perfectly shaped. It's a flower. Nature is chaotic and all over the place. So soak in your clay. So we're making 2 flowers. Each of them have 3 petals. So roll the first one, then take another petal, roll it around, and then take the third one and also just roll it around. Just on the outside, you'll see like the rose shape starting to take form, and just use that. You can peel them back a little bit to give them a little bit more volume, and then take your universal paintbrush, poke a hole in the bottom of it, and then just put the stem right in. And there you have a nice, quick, easy flower, especially for the level of detail of these stop motion characters. That is a perfect flower. It's going to fit the need, and it was nice and easy and quick, and I think it looks great. I really like the looks of these, which is why I tend to use them a lot. And for this stop motion, the way the story is going to go, the flowers are actually going to grow from one of the characters' backs. So that would be a little bit challenging to do if I were to try to put them together in the middle of the stop motion, taking the frames, doing the movements, piece them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to film the entire stop motion in reverse. So that's why I'm putting the flowers together now. So I'm going to start with the end scene. I'm going to film backwards, and then when I actually compile the stop motion later, I'm just going to reverse order. So that's why when I'm going to be doing the walking of the character, he looks like he's going to be doing the moonwalk. He's not actually doing the moonwalk. He's going to be walking forward. So as I mentioned, these flowers are going to be growing from his back, which I believe I mentioned. If I didn't, spoiler alert, they're going to be sprouting out of his back. So using the same methodology of how we got the stem into the end of the flower, we poke a nice little hole in his back, about the same size of the stem, and then we insert our stem in there. We mentioned we were going to make them a little bit thicker and sturdy so that they can stand up. So that's exactly what it was. If the character was going to be holding them, you can make them thinner, but these ones I want them to sprout. So there we go. So now we are going to get ready for filming our stop motion. So we got our handy dandy little background. This I use for a lot of my action figure stop motions during fights or conversation scenes. It's actually a background that came with a figura obscura. I think this was the Monkey King from Four Horsemen Studios. We have our nice little Lego stand, which I use for all of my stop motions. It's just so universal. And we have our phone that we're going to be taking all the pictures with. Let's get our characters nice and set up so they are nice and within the frame. Setup of your stop motion is key. So take the extra time to make sure the background is good, the lighting's good, people aren't going to fall over. It's going to help you in the long run, so this way you're not having to start over. This is why I like the Lego stand. I did not like the angle. So if you just take some of the Lego pieces off and just prop it under the back, hey, you've just changed the angle, and now it's facing down. It's putting the characters more center. So like I said, the setup is so key. Make sure it is exactly how you want it to look. Move it forward, move it backward, move the characters around. You're in complete control over what the pictures are going to be. Make sure you like what you're doing. And there we go. And just some minor adjustments to the background to make sure it doesn't tip over. Otherwise, we're all set. For the actual filming for this video, I think I'm going to speed up the whole process, because watching me and hearing me talk through 80 pictures is probably not too entertaining. So speed it up. So here I am, just making little movements between each of the pictures, taking a picture, moving them. Like I said, I was doing this backwards. So for the flower, I'm having it then suck into his body, and then he's going to stand up, and then he was going to walk away from his friend. So it seems like he's just abandoning his friend after sucking flowers into his back. But when played the opposite way, he's actually trying to cheer up his friend. So that's what we have. And we are about halfway there. Absolutely living on a prayer at this point. And there we go. So I'm just pinching off pieces of the flower so it looks like it's going to be sprouting. And then I'm going to cover up the holes on his back. And then he's going to stand up. He's going to walk away. And then we want to make sure his friend looks sad in the beginning. So this way he'll put his head down. He'll take a deep breath. And for a clay character, That's what we were trying to get the eyebrows to show the expression. So that is why I put the extra focus on the eyebrows on that one. And there we have it. So let's watch the finished product together with the music. This is Razzberry Mockery by Keith Caputo off Died Laughing. Enjoy.
Keep it on, just walk on through and